All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I pretty much already explained everything that, or a little bit of what Ed was going to cover tonight. I'm going to let the expert talk about what the expert knows to talk about. So give Ed a warm round of applause and make him feel welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Everybody can move. I'm up there. I can hear myself. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. I know it's hot outside, so I appreciate you guys making the trip in here to hear this. This is the first time I've done this slide deck, so timing can be a little bit of an issue on this one. We've got a lot of slides to go through, a lot of information. Hopefully we'll give you some good information, keep you entertained at the same time. But I might have to rush a little bit. One of the things is just, don't hold it against me. I'm going to give you a lot of information, and sort of maybe 3/4 of the way through the presentation slide, we're going to start covering rental property analysis. So I'm going to have to start bringing up some math. So I'm going to apologize right now for those people that don't want to think tonight. You just want to sit there. I'm going to bring up some math. We're going to be doing multiplication, division, some of the basic stuff that we need to do. So I'm going to apologize for that right up front. So here we go, guys. This is Edward O'Daniel. This is the young guy that kind of started out here. I'm not quite there, but just a little bit about me, seriously, guys. I'm a real estate investor and property manager for the last 12 years. You guys have seen me around. Some people know me as an investor. Other people know me as a property manager, but not very many people know that I do both. So that's something awesome. That's just something I personally made as a choice. Because I was already managing my own rentals. I was doing such a good job. People asked me to do their rental properties, but because of the way Missouri is set up, I'm not allowed to. And I have to set up a brokerage, which we did. Genomics Property Management is what it is. So I'm the broker for that. I'm also a disabled veteran. So a lot of people also come up and ask me, what happened to your arm? You know, that kind of a system. It was just, it was a truck accident when I was in the military, nothing big. People say I should make a better story about it. You know, your arm was blown off and this, and you had to drag yourself across the desert. And, you know, I said, no, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't want to go there. But so anyway, it was pretty easy, but I did get out of the military discharge from the Army. I'm a certified apartment manager, and not everybody quite knows what that means. That's the National Apartment Association. You just kind of have to go to class for several months, take a pretty long, extensive test over multiple different areas regarding apartment management to get that. I am a real estate coach and mentor for the past 5 years. I love real estate. I love being able to teach other people real estate. So that's one of the reasons I'm up here. I just love enjoying it, and I appreciate Jason for inviting me up here, for letting me share everything with you. I'm a Christian, a husband, and a father. I have 2 teenagers right now, so please pray for me. I'm over there. I'm trying to struggle my way through that. And overall, I'm just an all-around good guy. So about Genomics Property Management, real quick, we established about 3 years ago. As a veteran-owned business, like I said. We pretty much manage single families and multis. We, up to a certain level, I mean, we'll go up to maybe about a 40-unit building over there, but beyond there, you really have on-site management in larger buildings that, you know, once you start getting above 40, things like that. We are full service, and we care about our clients. You know, we want to make sure the clients that we get are the clients that we keep. So we're not one of those people that just, turns and burns people. That's just not my style. I'd much rather take care of people, which is why we have a very good rating on Google. So real quick, we're going to be going over the agenda. I'm going to be covering 5 pillars of property management. So real quick, how many here are landlords that manage their own properties? Good, we've got a lot of people, that's awesome. So what I'm going to give you is these 5 pillars and just a lot of information, questions to ask yourself, things like that you should be asking yourself, or maybe even baselines that you need to establish in your business, or even systems that you can set up in your business to make things easier, okay? So those 5 things, we're going to be talking about do-it-yourself property management. So just how to do it yourself versus outsourcing it at different levels, and then how to outsource it completely with professional property management. Just at that point, I consider you transitioning from being a landlord to being an investor. That's kind of how I look at it. If you're a landlord, then literally you're doing stuff yourself, you're managing it. That's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not putting it down, it's not a bad thing at all. Some people want to manage their own properties. Other people buy one rental and they just want it managed. They don't even want to deal with it. Because managing one rental, 10 rentals, 100 rentals, you still have to deal with these same 5 pillars that we're going to talk about. There's no difference in that. You're either all in or you're not. So being an investor, that just means you just let somebody else handle it. You get a check every month, and then you go home and spend your time elsewhere. So we're going to be covering professional property management, rental property analysis. Again, forgive me about that one. And then how to partner with us. For those people that are in there, I've met several people here. I've been waiting for that. But how to partner with us to make your wholesalers, your realtor, agents who sell rental property, how to make your jobs easier. We'll give you a value-added service, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. 5 pillars of property management. And I know I'm gonna try to keep this at a pretty good pace, guys. We've got a small enough crowd, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand and ask, and we'll see unless it becomes overwhelming. Yes, ma'am.
Are you okay with us taking photos?
Absolutely. Or she was just asking, are you okay with taking photos? Absolutely. You're more than welcome to take photos. Hopefully, I've got this thing designed. I've tried to make it colorful, entertaining, pleasing to the eye. The one I had really kind of sucked before this one. I had this one designed. But anyway, marketing, leasing, financial, maintenance, and legal. Those are the 5 areas that you're going to have to focus on if you're a landlord. Everything that you can kind of do is going to fall somewhere in those particular 5 areas, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the first one is marketing. Marketing is the biggest key in real estate period. Whether you're a real estate landlord, whether you're an investor, wholesaler, you need to know how to market. You need to know how to get your property out there. So marketing. Here's some of the things that you need to do. Online marketing is probably, in my opinion, the fastest way to get your deal in front of people. Once you put it electronically, once you get it online, that thing gets syndicated out. How many people here know what syndication means? Or doesn't know what syndication means, for that matter? Okay, syndication is just the part where you upload it to one website and then it automatically copies it to 50 other websites. You don't have to do anything, like Zillow. You upload it to Zillow, we'll talk about it, and then Zillow syndicates that out. It'll copy your message, your content, your pictures out to all of these other partner sites of theirs. So that's a quick, easy way to get it out, and then people are sitting there with these mobile apps. They're sitting on their phone with these mobile apps, waiting, and they just pop, as soon as your property hits, they get an alert, new property in your area. Let me take a look at it. So online is a good way. Sign in the front yard is always classic, but we'll talk about that. MLS access, and then if you're going to be doing marketing, I would definitely suggest that you need to get a marketing phone number and an email address. Okay, when you start putting stuff out there, you don't want to be giving your personal email address and your personal cell phone out. I know I'll probably end up covering this, but you don't want to do that. That's going to blow up your phone. You don't know who's calling you that's business, who's calling you that's personal. I would always have to recommend offload that. There's so many different options that you can get from a phone number or email address. That's pretty much free nowadays. But let's kind of cover the online marketing. We'll get to the phone numbers here in just a little bit of some of the systems you can use for that. Zillow Rep Manager. Who used the old Postlet system? Who remember that? Postlets way back in the day? That was great. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it myself. It was beautiful. It had made all these nice flyers. It made it look really nice. It syndicated out to everything, and I couldn't believe it was free. You just had all these properties you can put in there. Well, Zillow bought that and changed it into Zillow Rep Manager. Still free. You can still go online and upload it and everything. So it's always a free option. I would always have to recommend that. VFlyer. VFlyer is sort of another paid service, $15 a month, something like that. But again, very similar. Zillow Rep Manager syndicates their stuff out to certain sites. VFlyer, again, they syndicate out to some of the similar sites, but they also syndicate out to different sites. Okay? And then there's also Craigslist. And you can't also forget about Craigslist. That thing's a holy but goodie. So Zillow Rep Manager syndication. These are just a few things that Zillow syndicates out to. These are some of the places that your listing goes once you put it up on Zillow. VFlyer syndication, look at this. Try to make it cool and entertaining for you. But VFlyer syndication, these are some of the other things. You notice there's a few more places in there that VFlyer syndicates out to. But as soon as you put it out there with these services, this is what automatically gets put out there. And then that's what makes it available online. So put it in one place and that's it. Craigslist, it's an oldie but a goodie. How can you do that? 50 billion page views a month. That was a statistic, now that's across, throughout the whole system. But just break that down by state, by city. I mean, you're still dealing with millions of page hits every month. So you definitely have to get your property out on Craigslist. And then why wouldn't you? For free. Now, a little tip, if you do use Craigslist, sorry about that, use a Craigslist account. How many people know that you can have a Craigslist account? Anybody? Who didn't know that? Who didn't know you can go to Craigslist and create an account? Okay? That's one of the things you can do, just create an account. Because here's what I found out. When I started posting on the properties, you would go online without an account, you would post it, and you would get this little email in your inbox. And you have to keep that email, because that email includes the edit feature, in case you ever want to go back in and edit that post. You'd have to have that email and click on that link that Craigslist gives you to edit it. Well, that sucked. Imagine doing 5, 10, 20 of those postings. Now you have to keep all of those in a different email and go through them all. That sucked. I'm just going to tell you right out, it sucked. With your Craigslist account, everything's listed. Everything that you post in there is completely listed. You log into your account, the listing that you just put in there was right there. You can do edit, delete, renew, delete, repost. You can do all that stuff in your account. It doesn't cost you anything. So you definitely should have a Craigslist account if you're posting on Craigslist. And you can have multiple ones. But one of the things to watch out for with Craigslist accounts is that you require phone number verification. And they don't work with virtual phone numbers. some of the numbers that we're gonna be talking about, Skype numbers and these some little app numbers that you can get, they don't work for that. They kind of got smarter with that, so you almost really need a full landline in order to make your Craigslist ad work, okay, when you verify it, because you do need a valid phone number. All right, sign in the front yard. It helps, I mean, local traffic, it's all good. But a lot of people here, have properties up north, and sometimes that's not a good thing to have a for rent sign in the front yard, because what does that say? It says the house is vacant. It says nobody's here. Come, if you're mischievous kids or something like that, come break in, do something, throw a rock at me. There's going to be no consequences. So I mean, so if you're doing that, I just have to recommend, just do some other cheaper preventative measures. Put, go find an alarm sticker or something, put it in the front window, stick a little alarm sign in there. It doesn't have to have one, but just keep people away. Even if you step back and just create a sign, no copper in house, been replaced with PEX. You're just trying to let people know, hey man, there's no copper here, no need to break in. Don't waste your time. So there's just a couple little helpful things, but sign in the front yard does work. It does get local traffic and get people nearby in case, get people nearby to say, hey, there's a house to come up here in case they want to have a relative that are nearby. A lot of times, they want to have family members come to live close to them. Marketing for the MLS. Now here, if you put it on the MLS, I personally do not like using the MLS for rentals. That's just me. It takes a lot of time to put that in there at the same time it would take to put a listing in the MLS. So it's time consuming. When you do that, especially if you're doing it yourself, or even if you're doing it professionally, you have to offer a leasing fee for the agent that brings you a particular renter. Okay, that's going to cost you. Even if you do it yourself, you're given a few $100s, whatever it is, half the first month's rent, full first month's rent, you're giving them something in order for them to bring the renter to you. So this way is going to cost you, and realistically, the other ways I talked about, online, syndication, things like that, those are just as effective and gets out there much, much faster. And with the MLS, you're going to have an agent. You're going to have somebody that can put it in for you. And generally, they're going to charge you for that, almost like even the same as a flat listing fee. So I just want to mention it. And on the other thing is you have to make sure the house is vacant. I mean, imagine a leasing agent trying to show it when there's a tenant in there. Now you have to be the one that coordinates between when the people are going to be home, is it okay? You have to give 24 hours notice for them to come by. It just becomes a complete headache to do so. So again, that's always an option, but it's not my assumption that I would like. So marketing phone number and email address. If you're doing this, definitely have a separate phone number that you can keep. I recommend just using a virtual number. Google Voice is always great to use. And again, it's free. You just create a Craigslist account. So here's where you can create your email and your phone number all in one system. So go online, create ABC Properties LLC at gmail.com, whatever that is. And now you've got that. Use that same account to log into Google Voice and then create your number, local number. So now you've got a marketing system that's completely separate from your cell phone. Completely separate from your cell phone. And it's not going to interfere. They're not going to be calling your personal cell phone to in the middle of the day or middle of the night. They're going to call the Google Voice, and the good thing about it is that Google Voice has an app. Again, you've got your phone. You always want to make sure the number that you use has an app on your phone, because you want to get voicemails. You want to be able to track who calls you, missed calls, voicemails that you get, and not more specifically that if you want to call them back, you can call them back from the app, and the same marketing number shows up. So your personal cell phone number doesn't show up, your marketing number shows up. So it keeps your cell phone number hidden and private. So a couple of other ones, Google Voice, Lumber is another one, Lumber or Green Central. For those people that have heard it, you can have some of these numbers. Some of these do cost $5, $10 a month, something like that to maintain a number. But that was just a recommendation. If you're going to have rentals, if you're going to publish them on Craigslist and out on Zillow, have another number and email address. I think I've kind of beaten that one up. Oh, the biggest thing is just have something you can have a personal greeting about too. Something you can put a personal greeting on there. And especially if you're going to, I've already covered this one, email address. Something that you can put a message on. I'll go over the message here in just a minute. But with Google Voice, you keep track of any system that you use really is going to keep track of inbound calls. They'll call in, but they didn't leave a message, but they'll just show us a missed call. The biggest thing is that if they're calling that marketing number, you want to make sure that you definitely call them back. That's no different than if you're a wholesaler. You're marketing letters and postcards. Somebody calls in that marketing number, you're going to call them back. That's a lead. You paid for that lead. You did something to generate that lead. You want to make sure that you try to take advantage of it or monetize it as best you can. So even if people call in on there, give them a call back. Hey, my name is Edward. I just saw that you called. Were you perhaps looking for a rental property? Oh, right. I was looking for a rental property. What do you have? And then you can go from there. Something like that. Okay, but just leave a message on there if you could. Just call people back, leave a message that says, here's when we're going to return phone calls. That's always important. That way they know when to get a hold of it. I've had better success at leaving this type of greeting with people actually leaving a message because they know when you're going to get back to them. If they're calling you at 11 and you come back and say, we return messages between 1 and 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. or 5 to 6 p.m. each day, then they know what to expect. They're going to be getting a call back. So just a little helpful hint there. Any questions so far? Real quick, that was just marketing, just kind of how to get it out there and get it going. Awesome. Leasing, to me, this is the biggest time-consuming piece of property management is leasing. So, leasing builder. Here's some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. What are your qualifications? I swear sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with people asking me that. Emails from people replying to an email ad, people calling you on your phone. The first thing people ask you is what? What are your qualifications for rental? That's the first thing they're going to ask you. So you need to know what that is. What is, we'll cover it, but what do you require of your renter before they move in? Taking phone calls, setting up appointments, application and screening. These are all going to be part of it here. Whether you have 1 or 10 or 100, you're going to have to deal with this. Leases and lease clauses, some of the things that are common in leases. And then moving tenants in and getting the documents that they need. That's required. Okay? What are your qualifications? How much money should they make each month? You know, what's a minimum? Pretty much everybody has about a 3 times the monthly rent minimum. Some people it could be more, some people could be less, but that's pretty much an average. You know, you need to make 3 times the monthly rent in order to live here, because you need to be able to pay for utilities, food, live, and things like that. Okay? You can't go make $800 a month and get a $600 a month apartment. That doesn't work. And there's just no way you're gonna. I just tell people it's like I don't want to do that to you because I'm setting you up for failure if I move you away. With that, because you're eventually going to fail. There's no way you can do it. What's your credit score? Employment history. And again, we're not going to go over all these, but these are just questions that you need to ask. What are your standards? Do you need 1 year of employment history? 2 years? What is that? Criminal history. Do you take felons? Sex offenders? What happens if you get one? You know, how do you handle that? Eviction history. Do you care if they've been evicted? You know, do they care? Does it have to be a certain amount of years old if they had good rental history? Some people like 5 years. If you haven't been evicted, if your eviction is over 5 years old and you've had good rental history since then and you prove it, then I'm not too concerned with it. You know, that could be a type of thing. Yeah.
Do you have a standard for all rentals, or do they change from area to area?
So my kind of question, do your rental, are your standards across the entire area, or do they change depending what area you're in? No, they're pretty much the same. And what you're going to find yourself is you have to be careful on the legal side, because if you start changing things like that, then people can maybe nail you on being, you know, sort of underneath fair housing, which we're going to cover a little bit later on. That you weren't being fair to somebody in one area, because now you're asking more than what you did in another area. So just be careful about that. So applicants, do they need to fill out an application? I mean, one of our standards is anybody over the age of 18 has to fill out an application that lives in the unit. I don't care if it's a kid. You know, I've had 4 adults move in. They paid 4 application fees because they were all adults. All 4 people went on a lease. So, I mean, that's kind of the standard that you need to adopt. So that's just how we handle it. Some other things is, what about past due balances when you run a credit check? Do you mind if they have $20,000 in unclaimed debt that they haven't paid? You know, well, that may vary. I mean, what if it's $20,000 in medical bills that they couldn't have helped? Does that change anything? What if it's $5,000 of electric bills and $3,000 of gas bills? Yeah, that matters. Because if they move in, you want to make sure that they at least can turn on utilities. That's a part of the lease. Okay, so those are the things you have to check about. What about bankruptcy? You know, some of the things to check into. Do you charge an application fee? Hell yes, you charge an application fee. This is some of the ways that you filter people out. You don't, I mean, there are people that just, they're gonna drive you nuts. They come in there and say, hey, not a problem, no application fee, $100 deposit, you know, move in right now. So $100 and they can almost like move into your place. It's like, what are they gonna do? What kind of a tenant are you gonna get for that? And they're gonna trash it, you're gonna be out all that money. Absolutely not. Charge an application fee. If they don't wanna pay an application fee, that's standard. Period. If they don't wanna pay an application fee, thank you very much for your interest, man. Have a great day. Be polite and show them right out the door. So again, it's about processing, making sure they're gonna be a good fit for you, that meets your qualifications. If they don't, then just be polite, but be firm and move on. When the security deposit required to hold, you know, do you want to require a security deposit? Do you take Section 8? Do you take pets? If you do take pets, how many? What type? One thing I will let you know, if you make a note of it, for those people, please make a note. I actually got busted on this. My insurance got canceled on one of my personal rentals several years ago because I didn't know that my insurance company had a dog clause. No aggressive breeds allowed. Now, aggressive breeds are Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, Chows, things like that. And I didn't know that. One of my tenants had a Doberman Pinscher. Very good dogs. I mean, I'm a pet lover myself. There's good pets in all those breeds. But you better check your insurance, because if you put them in there, your insurance can be canceled. Or if something happens as a result, you won't be covered. So just please check on that. Again, some of your other ones, what's your minimum lease period? Do you want 12 months? Do you month by month right from the start? Do you want 2 years? What do you want? And then how long biggest thing is how long are you willing to wait for a renter to move in? Please develop a standard for that if you don't. Because what you're going to find is that people, if you're rental right now, they're going to come in and say, well, I'd like to move in the middle of August. Is that okay? So are you going to hold your rental for 2 months vacant over the summer where you're paying electric bills to keep that thing at least somewhat cool? Do you see what I mean? That's a long time to wait for that. So how long are you willing to wait on this? You know, you have to give it a time. Have to let them know. Taking phone calls, okay? I'm not trying to be a jerk when I talk to people on the phone. I'm really not. I just try to be firm, fair, move through the process. And I try to train other people that take phone calls to do the exact same thing. One of the biggest things is don't let them control the conversation. You control the conversation. You directly ask the questions. They respond back. Because generally the person asking the questions is the person controlling the conversation. Okay? So you don't want to let them on and on and on, and next thing you know it's been 20 minutes, and you haven't even gotten through the questions that you need, and you just wasted 20 minutes of your time speaking to somebody when you could have talked to 3 other people by then. So some of the things is when you talk to them, control it, tell them the rent price, make sure they're good with that. Hey, I'm calling about the property on 123 Main Street. Great. You know, that's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We're renting for $950 a month. Is that within your budget? Oh, no, we're trying to save about $800. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate it. Sorry it didn't work out. We don't have anything else for you. Have a great day. Click. I wasn't rude. I was just fair. Move on and just kind of leave them up. But would you want to find that out up front? Or do you want to find that out if you've been talking to them for 8 minutes and then come to find out they can't afford it? It's like the guy that sells Lamborghinis. You want to make sure that guy can afford a Lamborghini before you start spending the time to talk to him. You don't want to find out after you've shown him something for a whole day, wine and diamond, that he can't afford it. No. So again, I'm trying to be a little bit funny here, a little bit humorous. I got a few laughs. Make sure they have a minimum monthly income. You know, you could say, man, this property is $950 a month, so we require about 3 times the monthly rent, so roughly about $2,000, $2,100 a month is a family income. You know, do you guys have that? Yes or no? So you're kind of weeding them out already. Ask them if they're looking to move in, you know, when they're looking to move in. Oh, I'm looking to move in the middle of August. Well, you know, man, we're really trying to get it rented sooner than that. You know, our policy is this. You know, once you get approved and you sign the lease, you have to move in within this period or you have to start paying rent. That's why you can handle it, because you have a policy for that. And people understand it. They understand policy. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. But if you tell them that, then they don't really question it too much. Ask them how many people will be living in the unit. Don't know how many times you've come up with all this stuff and it's like, great, it's a 3-bedroom, or we're ready for 5 people to occupy it. Oh, well, I've got 7 people that need to move in. I'm sorry, man, that's not going to work. So figure out how many people. You should know the occupancy of your unit. Make sure that they meet within it. Sorry, that occupancy meets. Otherwise, you can't move them in. And then that's what they had the evictions on the record. You know, just ask them. Have you been evicted in the past 5 years? So you see what I'm saying. You're weeding them out. You're taking all of those qualifications that we just talked about, and you're applying them right over a phone call, and that right there would probably take about 2 to 3 minutes if you control the conversation and they gave you direct answers. So, setting up appointments to show. Okay, so we're on to the next step. We've actually marketed now. We've actually gotten some phone calls. We've talked to people. Now we're actually going to be setting up some appointments. Okay, if the renter passes the phone interview, then set up the appointment. I would always suggest try to batch it as much as you can. Batch it meaning try to get as many people there, almost like an open house, as you can. When people say open house, it drives me nuts. I am really probably never there more than 20 or 30 minutes max on an open house. I tell people, be there during this period. I'm going to be there between 2 and 2:30. You know, please be there, and if they're interested, these people are going to be there before 2 o'clock. Okay? They're going to be there right at 2 o'clock because they want to be right in there when the doors open. They're not going to be the person that text you at 2:45 saying, I just showed up at the apartment. Like, okay, great. Call and reschedule again, because it was from 2 to 2:30, not 2:45. So that just is a way of respecting your time, getting people in quickly, but always make sure you have some applications there at the open house, because if people are interested, you want to make sure that you strike on the iron side. Have them fill out an application and pins right there, so they can fill it out, and then you can start processing it. Collect the money right there if you need to. So if they give you cash, make sure you have like that little cash receipt brochure that you can give them. So just make sure you have kind of all that in place. So you're starting to see how being a landlord, now you have to have all these things that you had to put in place, and we're just kind of getting started. Application screening and do it yourself. You need an application. Now, you can pretty much get a renter's application online, just Google it. Now, if you're going to do it yourself, I would say, find a good one that you can process. It has to have just a description that says, yes, this person is authorized to run my credit or something like that. It needs to have some sort of verbiage in the application, because if you do want to go do a credit check or criminal background check with a third-party company, they're going to require that little signature on the page and that little verbiage that goes with it that says, yes, you're authorizing them to run and check their credit. That's their authorization for you to do that. If you don't have that, then you won't be able to run their credit through a third party. You need to sort of prove that they gave you permission to do that. So you can meet with the renter and have it filled out, or you can email it to them and have them take a picture of it with their phone. There's so many of these apps now that you can take pictures and convert it to a PDF and just email it or text it to somebody, but there's a lot of different ways technology-wise you can handle that, but get them to fill it out there at the open house is the best way. If you have to email somebody and they have to print it, they have to fill it out and then fax it back, it's very little likelihood that you're probably going to end up getting that back. That's a lot of work that people have to do to get it back. So try to make it as easy as possible. Forms of payment, what do you want? Do you want cash? Do you want certified funds, money order, something like that? Just make sure that you have to have all this defined. People, would you take a personal check? Would you? I wouldn't. I wouldn't take a personal check. So, it's whatever, $50 application fee. It has to be $50 cash. I can't take a personal check. That's not going to clear. I have to deposit that, wait for it to clear, and I don't know. So go down here, pay $3 extra and get a money order from that. So get a copy of their driver's license, get a copy of their social security card. You want to make sure they are who they say they are, because I run applications through our system, and names are very mischievous. How many John Smiths are there? How many William Bells are there? That are out there. There's a lot of people with the same names. So sometimes in a credit report, you can get things mixed up. So make sure you have all their information and validate social security numbers are good, things like that you're talking about the right person. And you also want to have some of that too, because if they do move through, rent it, and then you end up having to kick them out, the collection company is going to need to have all that record, and then that way they can skip trace and track them down a lot faster. Okay? So make sure you get proof of income, 2 months, should suffice to make sure they make as much as they say they are. These are all things that you should get. Sorry guys. Log into CaseNet. How many people have actually used CaseNet here to check on that? See, that's a good one. So you log into CaseNet, it's free, you can check their names, but that's kind of hit or miss, isn't it? Have you ever put in a John Smith, being evicted, and then try to filter through to see all the the John Smiths that maybe come through? So those names are a little bit, it's kind of hit or miss. Or what if they use their first name and their last name in the application, but their middle name in there and their last name is what's in the court filings? You see what I mean? So it's kind of hit or miss on that. You need to make sure you do a good job. For the company, criminal and background check, generally 15 or 20 bucks is pretty decent for them to run that background check. You would fax in the application that has a little verbiage that says, yes, you're authorizing them to run the credit. They would run the credit, pay on a credit card online, and then you can sit back and get a report back that has their criminal history and everything else, and seeing if they're actually, see if they have any criminal history. And then after that, you process the application. Any questions so far?
Well, that's much too complicated. They use credit verification services. They do it online. They pay the credit verification direct. They do all that for you.
Okay, did everybody hear that? He said that's much more too complicated. You're doing a lot more work. Have somebody else do that work for you. Thank you. I'm going to give you $1 later. That segues right into what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, if you want to do it yourself, if you want to do it yourself, this is what you do.
Well, the good thing about that is they do it online. They send it back to you. You get to look at it, and you send it in, and within 2 to 3 days, depending upon how they get that credit verification, you get it back approved or not approved. Okay? Now you're accepting no liability if have somebody, they did it for you.
Okay, did everybody get that? So you hire and outsource somebody, they run and process everybody according to their standards and qualifications. They come back and say, approved or denied. And then based upon that approved or denial, then you can, of course, you ultimately have the final say. You can approve anybody, regardless of what they say. But now you can push it off on them. They're the bad guys. They said that you were declined. They're not you. So, yes, ma'am.
Can you give them yours, qualifications and have them use them for screening your clients?
No, I haven't used credit verification services, but
They use their own.
But they'll tell you what their decision is based on, so you know.
right, and their qualifications are generally very streamlined, very basic. They try not to be on the high or the low side. They try to be in the safe zone, because when they put approved, they're putting their company's name on that. We approved this person, and then if 2 months later they got evicted because they weren't paying anything, that's the company that looks bad. So they want to make sure their standard, at least they do a good enough job to minimize that, because if that happens, then they're not going to use their services anymore. You know, so real quick, application screening, outsourcing. This is where you can use a blank form. Get a form from, again, credit verification services, was it? So that's another one. There's several in the area, but get an application from them. And literally, some of these people even have it online. They can just go fill it out. You don't even collect the money. You just say, go here, go download the application, go to this website and fill it out. You pay them online. You pay them the credit card online. They do everything, and then 48 to 72 hours later, you get a report back that says you're in.
But I gave you the wrong one. Landlord tenant services.
Okay.
I used to use credit verification, but I had to collect the money.
Mm-hmm.
Landlord tenant services, they put their credit card number right in, they collect the money, you're out of the total.
Now, I can sort of vouch for Landlord Tenant Services. That's Carl Reed's company. So yeah, I know her applications. She customizes it just for you. Use your custom application. Basically, they put their credit card number on directly in the application. I don't even want to see it when I use her. I run my own reports at this point because I have my system to do my own. But when I was using her, I just say, I don't even want to see the application. Here's the application, fill it out, send it, fax it directly back to Carla with her credit card, and she can handle everything, and then everything goes to her office. Yes, ma'am.
Screendoor.com is run by the Tower Group Community Development Corporation, and they are great, and the person goes online and fills out the application,
Okay.
uploads copies of the case.
Screendoor.com.
Yes, they're great.
Awesome. Okay, so there's some other resources for people here that you can check out. I mean, that way you just don't have to handle money. You don't have to worry about money. Here, you communicate with them. Just fill this out, send it to them, you pay them, and everything's good. So ultimately, if you're going to do it yourself, I would recommend outsourcing that particular process. That way you don't have to have qualifications. They do the qualifications, they do all the judgment, like the gentleman said. So, and then they'll provide you a recommendation, but ultimately, like I said, the recommendation is yours. Sometimes it may come back with, a little bit of a higher risk, and then it's sort of your call whether or not you can bring that person in with something like a double security advisor or something like that. But no, all good points, good points. Again, guys, I'm trying to give you everything. Do it yourself, outsource it, or even, fire yourself and hire me. We'll talk about that later. Leases and lease clauses. You have to find a good lease, because the lease is your contract. That is what you will do, what they will do, what the rules of engagement are with your rental property. This is what happens. This is why you need a good lease. So here's some typical lease clauses. Okay. Now, we're not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through them, a few of them, but term of lease. How long is the lease? Security deposit. Evictions. How does eviction get handled? Saying, hey, if we're going to evict you, you're going to be charged, you're going to be responsible for legal fees. If we go to collections, that legal fees will be added onto your final bill. All of that needs to be explained in the lease, because when the judge looks at it, the judge says, well, you agreed to pay for legal fees in your lease. So the judgment that I'm going to give you is going to include the $400 or $500 of eviction costs. That's going to take. Okay? So subleasing, we want to make sure somebody moves in, they don't move out and let somebody else move in there without you knowing about it. That's kind of popular big time in places like New York City. Where people don't want to get rid of an apartment, they want to hold on to that apartment, but if they move out, they want to sublease it, let somebody else come in there. You've seen some of those on TV shows. But these are all typical typical clauses in the lease. These are just some of them. These are some other ones. Maintenance or repairs, property loss. You're going to require renter's insurance with your lease. You need to make sure you state that. You need to make sure they sign off on it. Holdover. What if they go beyond the lease? The 12-month lease, do they go month to month? Does the rent remain the same? Does the rent go up? Typically on a holdover type situation, the rent always gets increased even by a little bit, even if it's something as simple as 10%. Because now they're in a month-to-month situation, which typically from a landlord, I wouldn't say it's not as safe, because in a 12-month lease, people can still move out. But I mean, in a 12-month lease thing, you kind of have this agreement that you're going to stay there till this time. Or in a month-to-month, all you have to give is 30 days notice. Either party can give 30 days notice, and that would have you move out. So it's a little bit more riskier. You can't count on that income. At any given time, somebody could say, at the middle of November, oh, I'm going to move out at the end of, in the middle of December. And now your unit's vacant. When you purposely try to set all your leases up to not have them expire in those weird months, you don't ever really want to have your lease expire in November and December, or even January, February. Those suck. Sorry. Those are awful. So if you do it, I'm sorry, what's up?
They suck.
Yeah. So don't do a 12-month lease. You might do something like a 15-month lease. Push it by like 3 months. Get it into the March timeframe when it's a little bit better out there. But you just don't want to deal with snow and cold. Believe me, I mean, just gas bills to keep a house at 50 degrees is going to be $150, $180 a month. That's crazy for a vacant house. It costs a lot of money. So these are just some typical things. And I also, one of the biggest things people don't do is bed bugs. I know it's not big in the area, but how many people got hit with bed bugs? Anybody? Keith? Yeah? Chris? Awesome. I mean, not awesome, sorry. Wrong choice of words, sorry. But, I mean, that sucks. I mean, that takes a lot. Those chemical treatments, the freeze treatments, I mean, those can cost a lot of money. So who pays for that? They're agreeing that, hey, when you take over the rental property, it doesn't have any bed bugs. So if you bring them in, that's something that you're going to have to pay for. And you're going to have to comply, and there's a whole little thing about, if you do, you have to wrap all your mattresses, and you agree to do everything that the person asks you to do. So those kind of things have to be in there, just spelled out, just to make it easier for yourself. And even I always recommend having a blank area at the end of your lease. Have something that you can always write something in. Just in case you need to write something in that's not already in your lease. You can just physically write it down, have enough space for that. Okay? How are we doing on time, guys? What time are we at? 8, oh, I think we're doing awesome, awesome. So moving around area and collecting documents. Like I said, I'm just not sure. I want to make sure I get to everything here. And we're not even halfway through yet. So moving around area and getting documents. Once you actually take an application and prove it, you're going to get the lease signed. Now, our company is more technology-based. The software we use, we do electronic signatures everywhere. So we don't really sign. People can sign it on their phone, email it back with a digital signature, because it just takes too much time for us. We save time by being able to get somebody in the property, take a look at it, get the lease signed, electronically make a payment, over the phone and just move them in as quickly as possible. But again, that costs in order to have those systems put in place, to have an electronic payment system, to have DocuSign, or to use another electronic signature service. You have to do that. And then you have to take the time to set up release templates, all that other stuff to make it electronically signable, if you will. But just a couple other things. When you meet with them, you want to make sure you get the lease signed by all parties. By all parties meaning, I told you earlier that anybody over the age of 18 has to have their name on the lease. That means everybody over the age of 18 has to sign that lease. Okay, their name's on it, they sign it. If anything goes through eviction or have any problems, everybody's at fault. Everybody goes to court on that one. Okay? Don't do that, oh, this is, I've seen it happen. People move in with their mom, old elderly mom that gets Social Security and something else, and they're all banking on mama's money to pay the rent. They say, oh, no, mom will sign the lease. Well, what judge is really going to go against and try to collect money against Social Security from a lady, and then her kids move in and spend all of her money, each month and never have money for rent? But their names aren't tied to the lease. So that's one of the things, just be careful about that kind of stuff. Anybody over the age of 18 really should sign on the lease, just to make sure, because they're legal. They stamp this, hey, I'm going to be responsible for this property as well. So get them moved in. I typically like to use no more than about 2 to 3 weeks. By the time you sign the lease paperwork, 2 to 3 weeks, that's it. I don't like to do a month. I don't like to do, again, it's about setting your policy. I just don't like to do that far out, because I don't want to have these properties sitting there vacant, costing my clients or myself, depending on what properties they are, money, when somebody may move in and then all of a sudden, oh, well, I changed my mind, I found another place. Okay, well, that's why I get a deposit to hold the property. That's why you put a deposit down. If they're interested, they will put down a deposit. They'll be the full first month's rent. And if they choose not to move forward with that, you've got to have some kind of termination clause. But I mean, if you say, hey, I've held it for 2 weeks and I decided to move out, That's 2 weeks worth of rent that I could have gotten. You know, whether or not you give the security deposit back, that's one of those things you have to decide. You know, me personally, people have lost security deposits. You can't come back after 3 weeks and tell me you found another place after you asked me to hold this one for a month. You're supposed to move in next week. Your security deposit's gone. Sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but come on. I mean, my clients, you know, we banked on that. We have a lease, everything's already signed, everything's ready to go, and then they just back out. Yes.
Does it cost to have DocuSign?
I pay for it. I mean, as an agent, as a realtor, it's what, $150 a year or something like that.
There's a free version for like 2 or 3 signatures a year.
Okay, so there's some free versions over there, but we just, again, we use it so much. I mean, if you even have, well, we just use it so much, we just pay for it. But I'm sure there's other electronic signature places out there that you can use. DocuSign is just pretty much a standard that we use. Again, you schedule it, you're gonna meet the rent of the property, get all the monies that you need. Oh. Did I miss something? Oh, technical issues, Scotty beat me up. All right. Ooh, I'm way up there. Oh, wow. What is this thing doing? It's possessed. Give me a second, guys. Get back to the screen. Sorry about that. It looks like my assistant put a longer transition on that one to get that thing, but this is one of the ones I want to get to. You're going to give a rent, sorry about that, guys. Give a rental tour of your property. Okay, if it's a single family house or even an apartment, don't move them in without showing them where some of the critical key things are. Okay, some of the things are, biggest things are water shutoff. You know, if you have a water issue, show them in the basement where the main water shutoff is and where to go turn that off. You know, show them, because they won't know. Most of it, if you got a finished basement, it's one of those little doors you open up that they never open up. They don't know what's in there. So show them that. Show them the circuit breaker box. Guys, take nothing for granted. How many people here know how to use a circuit breaker? Know to see, you know, if the circuit breaker's blown. Click, click. Not everybody knows that. So you have to show them. So when you get that call saying, oh yeah, I plugged up a microwave in the kitchen and the refrigerator kicked on and now nothing in the kitchen works. Okay, can you please go down to the circuit breaker, find that one that I showed you, just click it over and click it back over. And then that way you problem easily solved. So show them the circuit breaker box, how to use it, show them how to use the thermostat. Guys, some of these, the old-fashioned, thermostats, those are easy. Some of the digital ones, how to set it, and how to preset it, how to move it up and down. Make sure if it is digital, that you keep the batteries changed. How many people have had that? How many people have had a call that says, my furnace or AC is not working because, go look at your thermostat. What does your thermostat say? Tap, 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 tap. I don't know, it's not on. There's nothing on the screen. Okay, can you please replace the batteries? So you're putting the batteries back in there? Oh, that's okay, good, it's on, great. Now I have AC. But it's something as simple as that, really. So show them how to use that, and even adjust the hot water heater if they need to. Okay? If you leave, you might want to turn the hot water heater down. For the most part, once you turn it all the way up, nobody really ever bothers you. But you might want to show them something like that. Just basic functions of a house. Okay? So again, ask them if they have any questions, make sure you get all that stuff answered. Provide them lead-based paint brochure. If it was a house built prior to 1978, which a lot of stuff up north is, you can show them, have them a lead-based paint brochure. It's always helpful to have it. You can email it to them if you want to. But move in, move out form, how many people do that?
You should have them signed that they received it.
There you go.
I'll give you one a good one for a laugh.
Okay, and he said you should sign the lead-based paint disclosure to show they received it. Go ahead.
I had a college-educated woman moved to a house that was just rehab. And about 3 months later, she calls her garbage disposal doesn't work. So I send the plumber over there to take a look at it. She didn't know to turn it on. She just kept it. It was full of food.
That's a classic. But how many people here use move-in, move-out forms when they come in? How many people know what those are? Okay. Right now, if you move somebody in, you should have a move-in, move-out form. No house is going to be perfect. We tell people that. This house is going to have its quirks, things that aren't right about it. I mean, every house does. But whatever that is, if it's a scratch on the floor, or maybe a little burn mark on the hardwood floor that you just don't want to get resurfaced or didn't come out, have them make a note of it. That way they're just not held responsible for it when they move out. That's what a move-in form does, reports everything the way it was when they moved in, so that when you move out, you go through it on the move-out walkthrough, and you sit back and you compare everything, and that way you know what they messed up and what they didn't. Okay? That's another form to use. And even utility numbers, guys. Give these people the number to Ameren. Give them the number to the gas, to the water company, things like that. Charter Cable, the trash company. Give them that. Okay? Even the numbers to the local municipality of where they're at, so they can go get an occupancy permit. Give them everything they need, reduce any possibility that they did not know. Okay? And then tell them how to submit maintenance requests. Tell them what that maintenance, we'll get into maintenance in a little bit, but tell them what the procedure is. Is it calling a phone number? Is it sending an email? Is it going online to a maintenance portal and submitting something online? What is it? Tell them what that is. They have to know. All right, moving renter in, helpful hints. Guys, this is just basic. One of the things you walk through, guys, nothing besides body waste and toilet paper goes down the drains. Don't flush any feminine products. Don't flush any dead animals. Don't flush any rags. Nothing like that. Please don't. Because if they have kids, how many people have small kids? I've had ones where we've gone out there twice. I have to charge a tenant for it, but they keep dropping their snack bag. The little snack bag they have the little cookies in. They keep dropping the snack bag in the toilet and flushing it. They must think it's funny. And then it backs up. It gets caught and backs up. So send a guy out there to do a drain clean, do that thing down the toilet, pull a snack bag right out. And my guy charges me $80 for that, and I'm sorry. We're charging you $80 for that. That's not our fault. That's what we call line abuse. Anything up here is called line abuse. Please do not pour any grease, any oils, anything like that down the drains, because that stuff will stick to the PVC, it'll stick to the piping, and then it'll make it sticky, and then everything will stick to it. Okay, and then that's how you start getting clogs and clogs and clogs. Okay? All right. Take a big sigh. We're at number 3 of 5. Okay, we're doing good here. We're kind of getting halfway. We haven't even gotten to the real property analysis yet, so might have to speed up just a little bit. So again, this one's not too bad. Financial. You need to collect rent. You need to pay bills, and you need to manage your financial system. Period. If you're going to be a landlord, you have to keep track of it. You can't have rental property and be in the Stone Ages, because you need to be able to keep track of all the expenses, everything you do in your rental property, to be able to get all the full deductions that you can from. Okay? So again, how to collect rent? What type of payments will you accept? This goes back to, when you take personal checks, money order, cashier checks, electronic online payments. How do you do it? What are you going to accept? I've even seen people that give a deposit slip and an envelope to have them go drop it off at their bank. Here's a deposit, take it to my account. Just take your rent right over to the bank, deposit right over in Commerce, PNC, just go take it and deposit it. And they just send them deposit slips. And that's how they do it. That may be how you do it. Whatever works for you. I'm not judging. One of the things I would recommend is get a P.O. box. Very slow investment. Again, $100 a year. Get a P.O. box and have all of the stuff sent there. Don't use your personal address. Don't use, if you've got a business address, great. But just use a P.O. box. It's very cheap. Have all the bills that you sent go there for Ameren to Cleve. They all go to your P.O. box. Rents go to your P.O. box. It's one box that you use for everything. Okay? Same way your marketing number. That's the number that you use to put out everywhere. Your email address. So these are all things that you can put in line. These are systems that you're putting in place that keeps your personal stuff out of the way and makes it just business. Require someone to go to the P.O. box and get the rent out. That's the one thing that sucks. People mail you stuff, you gotta go pick it up. That means more time. Then what do you do once you pick it up? You take that everything to the bank and get it cashed. Okay? So that's just more time. Well, what if you go pick it up? If you got 10 properties and you got 4 different people that pay you at different times. These people pay on time, these people pay right at the 5th, these people pay 2 days late, these people pay really late, and these are the people that pay at the end of the month. Well, what if you want to go pick up your rent? I need to go into the box 3 or 4 times a month. So look for that, and then go to the bank 3 or 4 times a month. So it just becomes a hassle, just things that you want to put in place. There's a lot of online rent payments that you can get. You don't have to pay a fee for it, but they pay it online, they pay credit, debit cards. It's cool, because as far as you're concerned, you don't care. The money's not coming out of your pocket. If they pay by credit card, then whatever $20 service charge they're gonna charge for you, that's gonna come out of there. They're paying the rent plus $20 to do that. But again, as far as you're concerned, you don't care. You know, you're gonna get your money. And just one of the places, just something like rent payments, you can take a look at it. But you can save yourself a lot of time. But again, you have to set that up. This has to be your system. You know, especially if you get someplace that has an app, that's even nicer. You know, they have an app, you can sit back and pay it all using their mobile app. So no matter where they are, they don't even have to go to a website. They can just go open up the mobile app. This is how I pay my rent. Boom, boom, boom. Now it's paid. Okay, but for your sake, no more PO boxes. No more going to the bank. It's you look online on your account. Great, payment's been made. And one of the benefits I tell people is like, hey, guess what? You can use this system right up to the very last minute, and you're still not late. So most of the stuff, you know, you rent's due by the 1st, late if not paid by the 5th. Pretty typical on a lease. Well, you can pay all the way up to the 5th. Yeah, and still not be late, as long as you use our electronic payment system. So it's just a benefit of how to sell it to your tenants. Paying bills. Again, nothing too big. You can pay your bill, have all your bills sent to your PO box, but again, it takes time. For the most part, your stuff is rented, and you're not really going to have a whole lot of bills, but you still have to go collect those bills every month, which again, can hit at different times than the rent. So now you may find yourself going to that box several times a month to do that, and then have to handle that. So QuickBooks, I know that's pretty much an industry standard. It's very inexpensive to buy something. You can probably find something even cheaper. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
No, absolutely. Question.
Does anybody use Quicken Rental Property Manager? It ties into QuickBooks, but it's Quicken Rental Property Manager.
Okay, Quicken Rental Property Manager. Does anybody use that, or has anybody used it? I have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't used it.
I heard they're gonna stop supporting it. They've already stopped supporting the back.
Quicken?
Intuitive, told, plans to stop supporting virtual property manager.
So you're just saying that Intuit is a company name that owns QuickBooks, that created it, and Quicken, and they're not supporting that kind of stuff anymore. So right now, QuickBooks is just the standard. I mean, it might cost you $150 if you buy it, but I mean, it's good for like 3 years. You know, your subscription is good, I think, with QuickBooks for 3 years, and then after 3 years, they stop supporting that version. So you kind of make sure upgrade. So, but anyway, if you're gonna be serious about it, this is gonna be a true accounting system that you're gonna use to keep in place. Now, if you have one property, 2, 3, 5, could you use a spreadsheet to keep track of it? Sure. I would say coordinate with your CPA, find out what information you need, and just keep track of it. But this way, if you ever need to find out, you know, what was done, what expense was paid, how much did I pay for the gas bill in December 2015, you know, on that particular property, I can go back in QuickBooks and see how much I paid for that. Okay? So again, finance isn't big. It's part of the landlord process. You have to collect rent, you have to pay bills, and you have to keep track of it. Okay? Maintenance. Setting up a maintenance phone number. I know we've already talked about setting up a marketing number. I would always recommend, if you're going to take phone calls, set up a maintenance phone line number. Okay, use the same type of systems that we talked about, just create another number. You can even create another email address. Take Google. You know, you might, we talked about ABC Properties LLC. You can talk about, you know, ABC Properties Maintenance at gmail.com. Whatever it is, just give them an email address, something they can email. But I tell you, if you give them a phone number or even give them a website they can log into through your website, it makes it even easier. Okay? But set up a maintenance phone number, decide whether you're going to be doing it yourself. How many people here are landlords that actually do the maintenance work yourself? Okay, that's fine, and that's the case. But people have to call you. Now, do you want to give out your cell phone numbers for maintenance? Again, I hate to say it, but that's when you're getting the midnight call about the toilet not flushing. They're calling your cell phone for that. So this is where you have a maintenance line set up. So you might take calls during the day. You know, I think I'm stealing my thunder for the next slide, but that's fine. But right now, one of the things you can do with some of these nice numbers is you can forward it. You know, for instance, Google Voice. I'll give you a little tip, and forgive me if those people that already know it. When you use Google Voice, between a certain period of day, the phone calls can route directly to your phone number. Okay? Well, let's just say 8 to 5. The number comes directly to you. From after 5 o'clock to before 8 the next morning, where do you want that phone number to go? You still want it to go to you? Or how about you hire a handyman or use a service to actually take that phone call? So now in Google Voice, you can specify from 5:01 to 7:59 a.m. I want that number to route to that guy. And I'm paying that guy to handle after hours calls. Do you see what I mean? So you can set, that's a system. You can set that up. You get calls in the day, they get calls in the night. Okay? You can use the same systems that we talked about earlier for that. They all work for that, being able to have those kind of forwarding options and things like that. Wow, that's interesting. Decide whether you're going to do it yourself or hire it out, and then build your list of contractors. You know, right now you can do regular maintenance work. What if it's an HVAC, plumbing, electrical? I mean, you need to have these things. Get some good referrals. And a group like this is where you get them. How many people here know that there's a meetup group, and you can email that meetup group any question? How many people know that? See, that's not even a third of the room. So there's a meetup group. You go to meetup.com, Life in There has a group on there. A lot of the other groups in the area do too. So you can email that group, and quite frequently, hey guys, I need a referral for an HVAC person. And if nobody in here refers Brian, they're probably going to get beat up. Because Brian is the HVAC guy. So anyway, build your list of contractors, because as a landlord, you need to have a go-to person. You don't want to be 110 degrees out here in July and have your AC unit break down and you don't know anybody. Because guess what? If you call somebody, a regular company out of the blue, and say, I've got a rental property that needs work, do you think you're going to go in the front of the line, have priority, or going to be put down whenever they can get a hold of you? You know, whenever they can get to it. Yeah, it's going to be whenever they can get to it. They're not going to give you any priority. But if you already have a relationship with a vendor, they may be able to squeeze you in. They might be able to help you out in order to get your rental property fixed up faster. Okay? So just build those relationships. You gotta have them. You gotta have a go-to person to call. So setting up a maintenance number, using the same providers, you can forward your cell, and then just create a voicemail greeting. You know, tell people what, you know, especially for this one, we talked about leaving a greeting on the marketing about when you return phone calls. Here, tell them what you want them to leave. Please leave your name, your number, your address, you know, and a reason why you're calling. Because guess what? You may not be the person responding to that call. So, hey, this is Bobby Joe. You know, I'm on the second, you know, my sink's not working. Can somebody give me a call? Great. I don't have Bobby Joe's number. They didn't leave their number. I don't know who it is. Somebody's going to have a problem, but they didn't leave the address. They didn't leave a number. So tell them what to leave. So do it yourself maintenance or hire it out. If you do it yourself, well, I don't have anything else to say about that. That's that. You do it yourself and you do it. You go buy your stuff and you spend your time and you do it, and that's that. Now, if you hire it out, just please, this goes back to, you know, people that do rehabs and things like that. Just make sure you agree upon price. Don't just,
Previous slide where you said using the same provider, does that mean the same company? What do you mean by that?
In the previous slide, where I said using the same provider, I just meant like Google Voice, Lumber, Ring Central, whatever provider you got for your other phone, you can just buy another phone number from them. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just do it again. But just make sure you keep your cost down. You know when you send somebody out what that cost is going to be. Know that they have a $50 trip charge. Know that there's $60 an hour and the first half hour is included. You need to know that because you need to know how to be able to control your costs. Don't just call somebody and say, please go fix this. And then they come back and say, okay, it's $450. What? I just had some food stuck in a dish, you know, in a disposal. All you need to do is pull the food out. Okay. I charge you $450, and that's our minimum. Now, what are you going to do? You see what I mean? You'd be kind of stuck if you didn't talk about that ahead of time. So please do that. Have a technician take before and after pictures. If you do send somebody out, that's not uncommon. So you're sitting above the sink, take a picture of all the Brussels sprouts and the lettuce or whatever that's stuck in there, meat bones, and then you take a picture after, just to show you that they did something. So if you're not going to be there, that can just be proof that somebody can easily do. Make sure that they give you receipts for anything purchased. Okay? If they go buy something, make sure that it costs what they say they're going to cost. You know, have them just take a picture of the receipt and text it to you, just so that you can see it. These are all just simple things, guys, that keep somebody from taking advantage of you. Make sure you get a hold harmless agreement. How many people have ever heard of that? A hold harmless agreement under contract. Well, you will hold them in court and up in the air, depending upon the judge. But for the most part, a hold harmless agreement, at least you're doing something in your due diligence. And all it says is that if you're going to go out and work for me, and if you get hurt, you're going to indemnify me, our company, the renter, anybody else from being sued. Okay? Now, if you send somebody out, for the most part, I know having full insurance is pretty typical, especially for a handyman. They're probably not going to have workers' compensation, you know, in there. But typically, if they have a business, they should be able to have liability insurance. That's pretty cheap. That's $150, $200 a year, and what it does is it covers your property in case they're stupid and do something and mess it up. They cross the wire, you cross the streams, blow up your electric box. Well, sorry about that. I didn't know I couldn't stick a screwdriver in the electric socket. Well, that's not your fault. So have their insurance fix it. But, having something like that is pretty basic. So again, these are all good things that you can just use to help you in your business. Build your list of specialty contractors. We kind of talked about that. Here's how you can get a list of them. Firm, rate groups, or even make a list of, make sure your contractors have appropriate insurance. So just use your rate groups. Use people in this group. The people in here know other contractors who know other contractors who know specialists. So use them. You should. That's why you come here. That's why you're part of this group. That's the benefit of what you get. Is you get not just the people who are here, but the other 150 people that come here occasionally as well that aren't in this room. They still get that same email, and then you refer people to you. Because believe it or not, if you have a good contractor, you want to be able to refer that contractor out because you want to make sure that contractor stays busy. That contractor should make money. And that contractor will appreciate the fact that you brought in new business to them without them having to do any work for it. Word of mouth is extremely important to contractors. It keeps our marketing budget to zero. They don't need to do anything. They just need to do they just need to do a good job and take care of you. That's all they need to do. And if they do that and keep their price reasonable, I'm not saying cheap, I say reasonable. If they keep it reasonable, then people will use them over and over again. Okay? All right, good. So moving on to legal. So right now, some of the legal things that you, as a landlord, still have to maintain: fair housing, Americans with Disability Act. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of the Fair Housing Amendment Act, Missouri Landlord Tenant Law. That's a good one. And a little brochure. I'll show you a picture of it. You should download it and read it. You can probably read it in about 15 minutes. And I'll show you a couple of things about what it says in here. Oh, sorry. And then some of the local municipality regulations. So notice how I have these things listed. Fair Housing Law, federal. American Disability Act, federal. Missouri Landlord Tenant Law, state. Local municipalities, local. So that's federal, state, and local that you all have to comply with. And don't mess with these. This is where you get smacked hard if you violate fair housing law. This is where you show up on Channel 4 News. Where they come in there with the big thing right in your face. Hey, you just denied this guy right here, Rick. Why did you deny this person? So, and I've seen this. It's actually quite funny. I knew some of the people. Fair housing law. I'm just gonna, Fair Housing Law Act declares a national policy of fair housing throughout the United States that makes it illegal any discrimination in the sale, lease, or rental of a house or making housing otherwise unavailable because of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. Okay? That's just pulled off one of the federal websites. You must be careful not to violate these, including your marketing guys. And I'm trying to be funny here a little bit. Some of these examples. I pulled these off. Great home for elderly, single person. What did that violate? Age, absolutely. We take only English-speaking people. What did that violate? National origin. This is a Christian development. Religion. See, you can't do this in your marketing. So be careful when you list your marketing. You don't want to sit back and do this because you violate fair housing and you'll get smacked. Yes, ma'am.
I have a lot of diversity in my tenants.
Uh-huh.
I have 4 family buildings. What if someone comes through who is obviously bigoted? Can I reject that person because I can tell that there's going to be conflicts between them and other tenants?
So she said, what if you get a tenant that you know is going to be a problem? And she used the example of somebody being a bigot. Well, that's going to be a problem, especially in a community living. When in community living, that's kind of what we call anything that's multifamily. That's a nice little term that you call it. Community living. So you have to live with other people. Well, you have to just follow the rules. This is why you have your qualifications. Does he meet your qualifications? You have to follow fair housing law. You have to follow it as best you can. Because if not, you can get in trouble. So I know as much as you like. But right now, if you do deny them, you have to deny them based upon some reason. Your qualifications, you don't make enough. Our policy is 3 times a monthly rent. You only make 1.5. Sorry. Now, could you do things like not respond to their emails? Not call them back whenever they call you? It's not really against the law to do that. I mean, it's not. You're just kind of ignoring them. Hopefully they can get the point. After they call you 5 or 6 times, you don't call them back. Why did it go right to voicemail every time I call? I don't know. Because your number's blocked. So, good question, though. Good question. So these are just some examples, but please be careful in your marketing. Make it generic, make it friendly, use nice exciting words, but keep away from stuff like this. Americans with Disability Act. Basically, and this is more, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you have to give them the reason why they're denied if they're denied?
If they ask for it. Yeah, you can just tell them they're denied, but legally, I mean, if they say, I want to have, I want a letter explaining why, then yes, you have to write them a letter. So, and again, this goes back to landlord tenant services. Actually, I don't think Carla does that. She'll give you the letter, and then how you send it out to them.
You send the report that she gave you to them.
Right. So you can just send the report she gave you, and then she'll have reasons why they were rejected on there, and you just send it to them. Okay? Sorry guys, I don't mean to bore you with stuff, but this is stuff, I mean, you gotta know this. If you're gonna hop in the landlord business, this affects you. Now, if you don't wanna deal with it, hire me. Just saying. The Americans with Disability Act prohibits discrimination based upon disability. Now, I've never had to personally deal with this, but has anybody ever had a situation where maybe you had somebody in a wheelchair want to rent one of your houses? Anybody? Okay. Yes.
I had a situation where a lady that was rather obese, had a wheelchair that was like extra wide,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to rent a house. It was an old house with small holes.
Uh-huh.
And I said to her, you told me, I couldn't turn it out. I said, you go over there with your son or daughter or whatever, and see what you can do.
Sure.
And she went over there and she called back and said, well, I can't rent it. My wheelchair won't fit through the door.
Okay.
I didn't tell her that, I knew it wouldn't fit through the door, but I told her to go look at it, because I didn't know it was being set up.
Sure.
And
So again, he had a situation where a renter was in a wheelchair, was apparently a larger person. They had a little bit of a larger wheelchair, and those wheelchairs can be a little bit hard. Sometimes standard 32, 34-inch doors, some of these are smaller, you can't get a wheelchair through. But, so you say, hey, go take a look at it, I'm not saying no, but you have to make reasonable accommodations for that particular person. Now, if, for instance, in this kind of case, if the front door wouldn't allow them to come in, but they can move around everywhere else in the house, then I would do something like, I tell you what, we can redo the front door at your expense, as long as you're willing to put it back when this lease is done. I'm letting you do it. I'm allowing you to do it, but I just won't incur that cost. That cost will be on you.
Can I say one other thing? I think you always have to look at some of these calls you get in the way be suspicious and say, is someone trying to set me up for failure here? Is this a government agency or these do-gooders? I'll give you an example. My wife has a friend who owns a four-family in Florissant, actually.
Uh-huh.
And there's a company that actually goes after renters or landlords. And by doing little things, they come back and they can sue you. And the government will allow them to sue you for discrimination for such small things you wouldn't believe. Right. And this lady had to pay $2,500 for something that was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, it's never happened to me, but yeah, there's people out there that can very well test your screening criteria. Like, for instance, I know there was and I'm not going to name names here, the biggest thing was, and this kind of thing that I've set up was strictly race related. There was a place in the South City where there was an older gentleman, and nobody shout out names, please, if you know what I'm talking about. This was probably 8-10 years ago. So please, let's not bring anybody into this, but for those type of people, it was a race thing. African-American gentleman came in, oh no, all of our units are filled. And this was the news reporter, they did this. So so he was rejected strictly just because of the way he looked. White man came in there, sure, we have a place, let me show them to you. Now I know that's completely violating for housing law, but you see what I mean? That kind of stuff happens, and it can be tested. They did this literally because they were getting complaints from people thinking that there was possible discrimination in this particular complex. So just be careful, that's all. But as long as you follow the rules, you're good, guys. I mean, it's not rocket science, but at the same time, you just have to know these things. So, Fair Housing Amendment Law. So, if a person is physically impaired, disabled, and has individually trained service dog to perform, even if you have a no pet policy, guys, if it's a service-related dog, you may very well have to make an exception. Just know that, okay? Very rare that it happens, and if it ever does happen to you, just say, you know what, I'm not sure about that, let me check on it. I need to check with my insurance company, and I'll get back to you tomorrow morning or something like that, okay? But that gives you time to go back and research it. But be careful with service dogs, because regardless of your pet policy, you cannot reject them if it's a service dog.
Can you charge
Right, that's a great question. So even if it's a service dog, can you charge an extra fee for an animal? Oh, yeah.
Can?
Yes,
As long as you always charge a fee for it.
exactly. You have to be consistent. That has to be part of your pet policy.
It's not a pet at that point, it's more of a service, so I didn't know that you could, like, almost charge medication. I mean, it provides a service.
That's true. But
So I didn't know you could charge extra for
the
it.
dog or whatever inherently can damage the property. Now, is it going to? Most of the dogs, you see the back doors, how they've got scratch marks on them and the bowling is all torn up from dogs trying to get inside. You probably not gonna have that with a service dog, but could you get it? Yes. And there's a reasonable fee to ask for it, yes, but you're making accommodations for that service dog, okay? So just be careful. Here's the Missouri Landlord Tenant Law. This is something you absolutely have to know. Please write it down. Read this book, it's 10 pages. This is what it looks like, a little PDF pamphlet on the Missouri website. Okay, so this is just a couple things that it says. Number one, tenant, pay rent on time. This is what the tenant's responsibility is. Use reasonable care and not damage the property. Properly dispose of garbage. Refrain from taking any additional occupants or subleasing without the landlord's permission. These are things that are on the tenant side. Now, move forward to the landlord side. Make property habitable before tenants move in. So don't be a slumlord. Get the thing fixed up. Make sure everything works. Make it pay for any repairs due to, they can make it pay for repairs due to ordinary wear and tear. So if it's just normal wear and tear, you can't necessarily charge for that. Okay? If they damage it beyond there, put a hole in the wall, that's not normal wear and tear. So you just need to know where that is to be able to charge them for it. Refrain from turning off the tenant's water, electricity, and gas. Yeah, I don't know how many times you want to evict somebody, you just, well, let me just take that water key out there and turn off their water and see how long they're going to stay in there if they can't flush a toilet or take a shower. Well, just don't get caught at it. You know, you didn't hear that from me. Provide written notice to tenants when ownership of the property is transferred to a new landlord. Please make a note of that. If you buy a property that already has a tenant in it, you have to provide them a registered copy of the deed. You have to send that to them as well as instructions saying ownership of this property has changed. And here's the reason why, guys. Okay? If you don't do that and you buy a property and they start paying rent, you can't literally go and evict them. Because you know what they'll say in court? Guess what the judge will say? Well, they didn't know you were the owner. They didn't know you from anybody. They don't know you're the owner of the property. Did you prove it? Did you send them what's required by Missouri law? No, I didn't. No, I didn't send it to them. Okay, well, send it to them, and then once they get that, now they have the opportunity to make restitution or pay for it. But you're expecting them to get out, and now they have an option to sit back and come back and pay or not. And then that's going to take more time in your property. So just, if you buy turnkey rentals, if you buy things like that, make sure you do this. Make sure you follow up and send them. Guys, it has to be a recorded copy. Oh, there we go. A recorded copy. It cannot be a certified copy from the title company. You know, that little deed that you sign at the top, it cannot be that. It has to be the stamped recorder deed that comes back in the recorder's office once it's filed. So what does that mean? How long does it take for that deed to come back to you in the mail? Anybody? Weeks. I mean, you know, sometimes 3, 4, 5 weeks. So you have to wait till that. And literally, if you do a good job transitioning, you should be able to transit, and you shouldn't really have a problem. You know, the person should be able to say, hey, you know, the old owner was there, and we're selling the property to this guy, and you're going to be making rent payments, great. But if they don't, and they want to use that system, those professional tenants, have you ever seen them? They can take advantage of it. Yes, sir.
Is having you sign a new lease sufficient to do that?
Yes. He was just saying that if you have them sign a new lease with you, is that a requirement? Or would that get around you having to do this? I would do all of it. I mean, it's not going to take you that much. I would just do all of it to stay in compliance. Now, number one, that brought up a good point. If you actually buy a property, that lease is not with you. So that lease really becomes invalidated unless you have an assignment of lease to go along with it.
I thought you had to honor that agreement. As a new property
Yeah,
owner, I thought you had to honor that initial agreement.
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Praise the Lord here. I get you. I'm here. Take that to court. That will not hold up.
Wow.
And here's what I thought. You buy a property, you have to honor the existing lease that's already there. But if you go back with the other side, the tenant side, will say, your name isn't on here. Where's your name at? You're ABC Properties. This is, 1, 2, 3 investments. That's not you. So this lease is with you. How can you collect rent from her? How can you evict them if you're not even the person on this lease? So this is where when you do it, you need to send them that and also get an assignment of the lease. So when you get the assignment of lease, then that document with the assignment of lease then makes you the legitimate person to be able to let them go. So just be careful. These are things that if you're buying properties with tenants already in it, that's the only situation.
So by the same token, that person's already in place and you purchase a property, you can't just go in there and kick them out. You gotta, to some degree, you gotta honor that initial, contract that they
Right,
have.
it becomes a gray area. I would agree. That's something for another discussion, but let me get through the rest of this.
Okay.
That's all good stuff. Yes, ma'am.
This stamped copy of the deed, if you buy a four family, you have to get 5 copies, one for yourself and one for each of the boards.
Well, I mean, once you get it back, you can just photocopy it. That's all it works. It doesn't have to be certified copies from them. It just has to be stamped by the recorder. It can't, the notary will generally sign it at the closing table, right? They'll sign the deed. That notary certified copy will not work. It has to go through the court and be stamped at the recorder's office, and then you can copy.
It can be copies of the recorded.
Yes, I'm sorry if I made that unclear.
Oh,
It can be copies of the recorded deed, exactly. You don't have to go have them issue, you pay for 5 copies. So sorry about that, guys. So again, refrain from turning off, provide written notice, and then not unlawfully discriminate. So here's some other things, guys, we're trying to get through here. Missouri Landlord Tenant Law, there's a lot of good stuff. Please read that, okay? Please read it. So we've got the federal, state. Here's some of the things local. Let's talk about local municipalities here. Somebody came up, was talking about they have properties in Florissant. Well, Florissant has a new crime-free housing program that you have to, either the landlord or the property manager has to go and take an 8-hour class. Did you know that? Well, you have to. If you're gonna own property in Florissant, they expect you to. So you have to go take a class, 8 hours with the police department that tells you about all this particular program. And just take a look at it. I'm not gonna go into all the programs, but this is just one thing if you buy property in Florissant that you're open to. You have to. And one of the things about Florissant, they'll actually make you, if you don't even live within 50 miles, correct me if it is, if you don't live within 50 miles, you have to have a representative within 50 miles. So basically, you cannot own Florissant property from out of state. It's kind of what they were trying to hit. You have to have a property manager or a person who manages it for you here within 50 miles of Florissant. Now, Berkeley. How many people have heard of the 30% rule there at Berkeley? Oh yeah, people that have properties in Berkeley. What does that mean? And that just means, guys, that if the block that you're buying the property on already has so much rental property on it, they, a certain percentage, they won't let you have an occupancy permit. They don't want 100% occupied rental blocks.
How the hell are they gonna?
The question was, how the hell are they gonna? And he didn't finish. But no, that's a good question. But see, they're doing that. So if you're trying to wholesale, if you're an investor, if you're trying to wholesale buy, be careful. Because if you buy it, they may not give you an occupancy permit to rent it. Now, what it's gonna be is a rental property that you can't get an occupancy permit. That's pretty good. You just can't. That's crazy. But you have to know the rules if you're gonna get into the game. And then Chesterfield, I mean, just as an example, this is completely different. Chesterfield has no occupancy inspections. They don't. But you gotta pull a permit to change a dishwasher. And if you don't, they can fine you, they can, stop the sale of your house until you get it. I mean, you have to have it. But these are all I'm just saying silly nuances that are in the rental property business that you have to know about. Okay, now, that was it from sort of do it yourself. This is not that long, guys, but I'm just trying to get, if you're doing professional property management, what is it that you look for? So, why use a property manager, what you should expect from them, and what are the typical fees? Let's just kind of cover that real quick. Here's what you should, again, why use a property manager? Because you want to be an investor, not a landlord. Being a landlord is like having another job. You're spending your time to do certain tasks, building these systems that we talked about. Maintenance numbers, phone numbers, setting up PO boxes. You're spending time, energy, and money doing all that. When somebody else can just do it for you, and you devote all that other time to growing your business or doing something else that you want to do. Okay? That's really it. That's why you would hire it out. Use your time to grow your business. Being a landlord is having another job. Rental property should be passive. Hence, passive income. Give me some fire. There it is. So what to expect from a property management company? I won't go through all of it, but everything up here is what you should expect. Okay? Collect rent. If the unit goes vacant, get bids, turn it over, get it fixed, meet the occupancy inspector, get it re-rented, collect rent, handle maintenance items. Everything up here is what you should expect from a property management company. Okay? Management fees. The answer to fees is just like any other question in real estate. That's a good one for everybody to know. What's the answer to any question in real estate? It depends. It depends on a lot of stuff. So right now, typical monthly fees somewhere between 8 to 12%. You know, is what some people charge. Some people in the area actually charge more than that. Leasing fees, meaning to actually get your unit filled and to find a renter for you. Sometimes it could be half, even up to 1.5 times the monthly rent, depending upon the lease they give you. So most people are pretty standard that if they bring you a 2-year lease, you'll pay them 1.5 times the monthly rent. Versus a one, you see what I mean? Yes, go ahead.
As far as getting somebody in that property, do you have some kind of promise or guarantee or something from the time you get somebody in there? Because from a property management standpoint, they're not making the house payment, so they're gonna look for the best tenant ever. And it might take 2 months or 3 months. From a landlord standpoint, because making payments, you need somebody in here. Sometimes you might be desperate.
To be honest with you, I don't understand the question. Well, what was the question?
Do you have a standard of time to get somebody in the rental property? Or?
Okay, so the question is, do I have a standard of time to get somebody in a rental property? I don't want to do this to you. It depends. Okay? It depends on this. Number one, if you're in, let's just say the Chesterfield area, those houses are, better school district, those are probably going to rent pretty quick. You're probably going to get somebody on your first or second try. Because the only person who's going to apply for that is somebody that's going to have good credit and wants to move into that school district that can afford it. Okay? Now, go up North County, Florissant. Well, that might sit a little bit longer. What if it's up north in Castle Point? Okay? There are still good houses up in Castle Point. People want to live there, but that lead time now may go to 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days. Not that somebody's not applying for it before you can actually find a better qualified tenant. So in those lower income areas, you may end up having to have a longer between fill vacancies. But when the person gets moved in there, they're going to pay the rent. Does that make sense? Right. So that's kind of what you get with some of the lower income. We push it more towards a 4 to 6 week time frame before we start seeing somebody. Because we get a lot of people applying, a lot of foot traffic. But again, going back to those phone calls, filter, get them out, filter, cut them down. Get to the heart of it, find the people that really that work, that are going to take care of it, and those are the people we focus on.
But as a management company, you have an incentive to get that green too, because you're not making money off of it until it actually works well. Because that's where you get your percentage.
So he just said as a management company, there's pros and cons to that. There's different ways we can approach it, but to the management side, yes, it's not making any money unless I get to rent it, but I'm also not going to, this goes back to just the integrity of the company. I'm not going to put somebody in there if they're going to be a problem. Because I don't want that problem. I'm the person that's going to have to deal with it. Sure. So I want to make sure they're going to take care of it. They're going to be in there. I don't need that kind of a headache. So I'm not just going to put somebody in there to get that lease fee. It's not worth it. It's not. But yes, it's a performance-based lease. They should most people only charge you if the unit's filled. If it's vacant, you're not paying any maintenance. I'm sorry, you're not paying any management fees on it.
Yeah.
Oh, where's that? Yeah, Brian.
You find a prospect that qualifies, you go and see how they live previously.
Say it again. If you find a prospect,
If you find a prospect that qualifies, you go and see how their current living situation is now.
okay, so the question is, if you find a particular prospect, do I go look at where they live at existing? No. Okay, and that's fine. But when you deal with the volume, you just don't have the time. You have to have your qualifications and move on. Now, do you do your inspections? Do you walk through and do your own inspections of it and make sure they keep it up hygienically? Yes. But it's just no. I don't sit back and just let you know and go look where they live. We don't have the time for that. But that's why we have all of our other qualifications to make sure this is the profile of the person that we want to put in there. This particular kind of person, or this profile of a person that you would want to move into like a Chesterfield house, they're not going to sit back and leave pizza all over the floor and be dirty and nasty. It's very rare. The profile of that person doesn't fit. Okay, so, but lease fees, maintenance fees, percentage. Maintenance fees sometimes could be a percentage of the repair or just a fixed cost. So that's something that you're going to incur. Evictions, those costs, because there's going to be court time involved, so that's going to cost you to evict somebody. And then there may also be, some people may charge you a setup or onboard charge. So just to kind of keep you updated, that's why you always ask people what their charges. Now, why hire Economics Property Management? Because ultimately we make things easy for you. We try to make it as easy as possible. We just ask for a little bit of information, bank information, property, tenant, and then we handle everything else. my little thing didn't play. It was supposed to be like, that was easy. A little,
The easy button drop down.
I know, easy button drop down, but anyway. We're pretty much a technology-based company. Just let me finish with you. Technology-based company, everything that we do is electronic, and that's just for speed. It gets people in there, gets things done quicker, get them moved in faster, and it just makes it more efficient. Yes, Keith?
And you can't go to court for this, right?
Say it again?
When you said evictions, you don't personally, you can't go to court on
Okay.
our behalf.
So on evictions, if you have property in your company name, you have to hire an attorney. We always hire an attorney every time we do an eviction. That's where that $400 or $500 goes. We hire an attorney. However, as your property manager, with your property management agreement, we have to bring that to court. We'll go to court for you. That's a part of what we're doing. You don't go to court. If you go through the eviction process, I have to go down there to the eviction court if we get that far. I have to present the property management, I have to present testimony, and there's fees for that.
With the
It's just
lawyer.
taking time.
With the
But you will have a
lawyer.
lawyer, yes. I'm not representing you in court. But I'm required to be there as your representative. Okay? And again, everything that we talked about, all those 5 pillars, we've got systems put in place for all of that. That's what makes us a professional property management company. We've done all that. That way it's just, boop, hit the easy button. Just have Ed handle it and everything's good. And like I said, I'm pretty proud so far. I know it's not gonna last, but we still have a 5-star rating on Google from all of our clients. Now, rental property analysis. Guys, where are we at on time? Please give it to me. Hey, 10 before 9. Wow, okay. Then it won't be so bad because we're gonna go through it pretty quick. Rental property analysis. Here's the methods for rental property analysis. Some of the ones that are out there. People buy based upon appreciation, gross rent multiplier, cap rate, cash on cash return. Okay? These are just some methods out there. I'm not saying the ones are better or worse. Appreciation, I never buy on that. I never recommend any of my clients to buy on appreciation. This is what happens when people buy in California, Las Vegas, when they're building all these subdivisions, they want to buy the house, even if they didn't rent it, or they rented it at a loss. By the time that, a year goes by, the house is increased in value $100,000, they could sell it. So their negative loss that year may have been $5,000 or $10,000 worth of negative loss throughout the 12 months. But they made $100,000 total. So their net proceeds at the end of the year is when they sold. But is that a good cash flow model? No. I mean, you can't do that. You can't sustain negative cash flow every month. So again, that's just a method. I don't ever recommend it. So let me move on. How many people have heard of GRM, gross rent multiplier? Okay, it's just a method. It's a tool. I don't think it's a very accurate tool myself, but basically it's just a real quick tool that says, how many years will this property be paid off if I took all the money I collected for rent and just put it right back into the property? So if I spent $100,000 on a property and I collected $10,000 every year, how many years would that take to get that paid off? 10 years. So the GRM on that would be 10. The formula for that's pretty easy. Take the purchase price, divide it by how much your gross annual income is. Now, this model doesn't take care of any expenses, property tax, it takes care of none of that. It's really meant to be a rough tool that just says, I generally like to buy, properties with GRMs in the 4 to 7 range. Because even though they know it's going to be paid off more than that, that's just kind of a rough measurement that they can quickly use to apply to a property. Cap rate. This is the most common method that people have for evaluating residential and even more or less commercial properties. Okay? So we're going to go through this. It's alright, we might go just a little bit over, guys. I'm just really trying to get through this stuff real quick here. Like I said, I wasn't quite sure how long this would take. Cap rate. Cap rate's going to be taking the net operating income, dividing it by the property purchase price. Okay? So it's pretty straightforward. Right now, I'm going to give you an example, but I'm just running you through this step by step. The net operating income is going to be the gross amount of rents that you collect minus any of your operating expenses. And I'll give you an example, guys. Don't get freaked out. I'm going to give you an example, make this easy for you. Your gross rental income is just all the rental income you collect. Your operating expenses, you're going to have property management fees, you're going to have maintenance, vacancies, taxes, insurance. You're going to have all these things that you use to calculate. And there's all these nice, just Google rental property analyzer spreadsheet or something like that. You'll probably find a ton of them out there where you can put all this stuff in there. And there's a nice little cool spreadsheet. I have one. I just am not going to show it right now. But these are all your operating expenses. So now let's put it all together. Let's just kind of show you a real live example. Gross rents. Let's just say it's a realistic property. $800 a month times 12. $9,600 a year is what you collect. Your operating expenses, $4,280. Those are broken up by management, maintenance, vacancy, and I'll just throw insurance at $600. That's reasonable. Property tax is 800, that's maybe a little bit high, but reasonable. Cap rate is your net operating income divided by your property purchase price, is what we have from the last slide. So that's gonna be 9,600 minus 4,280 divided by 40,000. 40,000 is gonna be our purchase price. How many think buying a property for $40,000 and you rent for $800 is very reasonable in this area? Are you sure? Yeah, it's absolutely reasonable that you can buy that kind of property. Now, it's gonna be in a certain area, but when you're doing this, the cap rate on that property is gonna be 13%. That's how you calculate it. Okay? Very simple and easy. Cash on cash return. This is a little bit different. The cap rate model did not include debt service. Why? Because the cap rate model assumes that you pay all cash for it. Okay? That's the whole basis of the cap rate model. If I paid all cash for this property and didn't finance it or didn't leverage anything, what would my return be? Now, just by thinking of it, if you leverage your property, do you think your rate of return would go higher or lower than if you paid all cash for it? Your rate of return, do you think you get a higher rate of return by using leverage or a lower rate of return?
Higher.
Okay, so your rate of return is going to be higher because you're using less of your money. You're putting a down payment and you're financing less. But the problem with that model is now we have to include the mortgage payment, the debt service in this model. So this is what we're going to do here. Follow me, guys. Sorry if I'm making you drool over there with being brain dead this late. I appreciate you holding in there with me. Cash on cash return, have to include for debt service. This is the net operating income minus your debt service divided by your money invested. Notice I said money invested, whatever that is. Using the same $40,000 purchase price, mortgage just did a real 15-year mortgage on $40,000 with a 4.5% interest rate, which I know you could probably get cheaper, but that's $245. Principal and interest, okay? We're already accommodating for taxes and insurance and the operating expenses. So we've got all the expenses, your net operating income is still 9,600 minus 4,280. Mortgage payment is $245 times 12. There's your 2,940. You do your math. Now you're, by using leverage, the same property, now you're making a 30% cash on cash return instead of 13. So you doubled your rate of return by leveraging the property. Okay, because you only use, in this case, $8,000. Let me see if that works. There we go. $8,000 of your own money instead of $40,000. So now, if you had $40,000 of cash, how many of these $8,000 deals can you do? Yeah. Come on now. Thank you. So you can do 5 deals with this. So if you see, and again, this is the partial progress, guys. I know we're running short on some time, but using this, you can see how leveraging helps you. So 30%. Now, who here, I'm just going to introduce this, I'm going to kind of blow your mind here. I know I've already been going a long time, giving you a lot of information, talked about math, showed you some numbers, which is not good to do at 9 o'clock at night. How many people here have ever heard of what an infinite return is? How many people? By show of hands. Infinite return. Okay. Let me talk about that real quick. Because in real estate, this can happen. Now, infinite return is generally a basis in mathematics. I'll kind of show you that little trick of that. All you have to do is look at the chart. I'm not going to go over math with you, but let's just say you're using the same deal here as before. The one highlighted in yellow is the same deal that we just looked at, same numbers. However, notice this. $8,000 is what we use to leverage it. What if I can get a piece of property where I only have to put $1,000 down and I get the same rents? How does that affect my return? Okay, so doing the same number here, now my cash on cash return is 238%. What if, let's get crazy. What if I only spent $100 to get that property? There's the percentage, $10, $1. Notice how that percentage keeps going higher and higher and higher. The lower we actually have, lower of your money we have in on the deal. Does that make sense? That's sort of that infinite return. That's kind of, and I'll show you just, realistically, this is kind of what it looks like from a mathematical perspective. These lines right here, as this thing gets closer and closer to 0, notice it went from 100 to 10 to 1. Imagine if we put 50 cents down, 25 cents, a dime, a nickel, a penny. How much would that return just keep going up? So this is what you can actually get these kind of returns in real estate if you do your own deals. If you do your own marketing and you find somebody that just wants to, like for instance, subject to is a great deal, is a great acquisition method for that. You might give somebody $1,000 to, of their equity. They move out, you take over their payments, and the payments are exactly what you're talking about. The numbers match everything, and all you've got is $1,000 in on the deal. You own the property. Now your rate of return is 238% of what you put into it. That's awesome. No. Real quick, guys, this will just take a few minutes here. I'm actually gonna have to take the microphone. Anybody has a microphone? On this one here? I wanted to show you real quick here how to partner with us, how we can help you guys. How many wholesalers or real estate agents that sell rental properties do we have in the room? Wholesalers? Keep your hands up for a second. Wholesalers? Okay, awesome. We got half the room. Is it on?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm gonna step over here for just a minute, guys, because the speaker on this thing is not that loud here, so hopefully this doesn't blow up in my face, but. Killing me. Why is this thing not working? All right. Well, I'm not gonna sit back here and fudge with this thing, guys. This right here is just a nice little video saying why you should partner with us, and basically, from a wholesaler perspective, you want to sell the property. That's your goal, right? If you're a real estate agent, you want to sell a rental property to your client. You really don't want anything to do with it afterwards. Okay? How many times does your client come back and ask you to do small things? Can you please go check the house and make sure it's locked? Can you just drive by and just make sure it's okay for us? Well, you don't want to, but yeah, you'll probably do it for your client. Just because you want to sell them a rental property. Well, what if you had a partner like us where you can say, I tell you what, I'm going to sell you the property, but I know it needs to be fixed up and rented and everything else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you over to our preferred vendor, our preferred partner, Genomics Property Management. They're going to take it over. They'll get the scope of work built for you. They'll handle the construction of the property. They'll do the repairs, the upgrades, everything for you. Because, I mean, our reputation is important to us. It is, because my reputation is important to me. But we'll be your partner for that. So that's a good way that you can just say, I'm going to sell you the property, and then just go talk to Edward. He can handle everything after that. And then your liability stops right at the sale. And then all you do is just keep using us over and over again. Now, we're going to get this put up on a website that you guys can, and we'll have a nice little PDF document that can be sent out. But for the most part, sorry about that. That didn't work. Of course, epic fail at the end of a presentation. What just partnering with us allows you to offer a value-added service to your client. And it is. You're offering a value-added service. Your client, if they're out of state, may not know contractors. They may not want to do this. What do they want to do? Boom, hit the easy button. That's what they want to do. Just give me somebody that can do all that. Now again, please keep in mind, there are charges for that. I mean, we don't do this for free. We will charge you for it, but it's reasonable. The bottom line is that we want them as a client. Okay? We're going to take care of them. And we're not going to do this and then have them managed by somebody else. The whole goal of this is, in the end, we're going to manage those particular properties. Okay? So I just want to make sure that you guys understand how the partnership is going to work. We'll do all that stuff. We'll handle everything, communicate it as best we can. But then at the end, ultimately, we want a property management agreement signed that says we're going to be your management company. And other than that, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll take questions.
How many units what's your maximum number of units?
I don't understand. The maximum number of units.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a multifamily.
It really depends upon the multifamily, because at a certain level in a multifamily, it'll support itself. But I mean, right now, I said earlier, that's probably somewhere around 40 units. You know what? A 40 unit building. Once you start getting above that, there may be some possibility that the building can support on-site management or maintenance with it. So, like for instance, if it was a 100 unit complex, we don't do this. Yeah, we don't go into 100 unit complexes and manage that. That's like a whole other management team for that. Now, we might in the future, but right now we don't. So, sorry. What size you got? Man, I just missed a sale. Okay, any other questions real quick, guys? I know it's the end of the night. Yeah, Brian?
We were talking earlier about having a conversation with the prospects. You have somebody stop making a conversation. Is that typically a big red flag for you if you're not going to be ready?
No. You just can have these chatty Cathys, if you will. People that just want to go on and on. Oh, I've been looking for properties and I really am interested in this one and I really just don't want this one to get away. Ma'am, may I ask you a few questions, please, to see if you qualify? You see what I mean? Interrupt that particular person. Interrupt what they're saying. Take control of the conversation. You can just let them jibber jabber if you don't mind sitting there for 20 or 30 minutes. And then it's like, it is almost like a therapy session. Oh, thank you so much. I feel so much better now that you sat back and listened to everything I had to say. And well, yeah, you just wasted 30 minutes of my time. I could have went through 10 other people by now. Do you see what I mean? So, no, it's a good question, guys. But Hopefully I've given you just some basic fundamentals, some systems that you can use to put in place. And like I said, if you want to do it yourself, great. Do it yourself. You know, there are people out there that want to. If you don't, look me up. Give me a call. Let me help you out. But please remember the partner situation. You guys sell a rental property to somebody, give us a call. Let us be that secondary person that takes it over, unless you want to do it. But no, I mean, I've done this with several wholesalers, none in this room right now. But I've done that with other wholesalers. They just use me because it's much easier for them. It's a handoff. After I give them off to Ed, I don't have to deal with it anymore. They call me, really? Did you talk to Ed about that? You want somebody to go by and take a look at it? Well, I'm sure Ed, it's got that. You see what I mean? You're pushing that off onto us. And then that way your liability stops when you sell it. And then go find another property, sell them another property. We'll do it again. All right, guys, thanks so much. I've taken up your time. Thanks so much. Just have a good night.